Hello, friends, and welcome to this week's weekly energy check-in for the week of May 26th. It is an exciting week. As always, we are living in exciting times. And I have two main things that are top of mind for me this week, and things that have really come into my awareness this week when I do my weekly energy check-in and I get my energy snapshot of what is going on for all of us here on the earthly plane, and the things that we're feeling in a very, very big way. The collective is going through a mass awakening process. To those of you who are my audience, this is not new news to you at all. But it's a very potent time to be reminded of the fact that we are all going through this mass awakening process in our own way, in our own time, in alignment with our own highest and best divine timeline for change, for transformation. So this is a time to be patient with not only ourselves, but everyone who's going through this as well, and maybe is not equipped with the same level of awareness that you might be. And so that might look like a lot of chaos and confusion and overwhelm, frustration, even anger for other people. So we need to be able to bolster our own reserves to hold space not only for our own transformation, our own, further trajectory on our awakening process, but we need to be able to bolster our own reserves so that for those people in our lives that are close to us that we hold space for, that we can be a better vessel to kind of to help them through, but also to not be in a place where we are lowering our frequency, where we are taking on unnecessary energy from the collective that is toxic to us on our journey. I hope that makes sense. So in order to do that, this week is really about getting really present with the fact that there's a couple things going on. Number one, those of you who have been really looking for that validation, that wink, that nudge from the universe that says, okay, now's the time. Now's the time to put this boat in the water, get this project going, create this new ideal. You're not just formulating the plan anymore. You're not just creating the outline in broad strokes anymore. You are implementing. You are actualizing. I did a post, a talk the other day, yesterday as a matter of fact, on the importance of having less activation and more actualization. And for my friends who are just in love with doing energy healing and energy releasing and energy upgrading, doing energy activations, energy alignments, all that stuff without actualizing it in the physical, meaning taking inspired action while you are in spirit from this activation, release, upgrade, whatever, to ground this change, this transformation in your physical life, you are losing the benefits of this activation. You are losing the benefits of this release. You are losing the benefits of this upgrade, whatever you might be doing. So that includes that these ideas, these beliefs that you have, these creative pursuits that are just kind of living in the fourth dimension of thoughts in your mind at this time. The universe is saying, okay, well, whatever you've been doing to hedge your bets, whatever you've been waiting for, just do it. We're going to align with you. We're going to help you. This is the ultimate wink this week, the ultimate nudge from the universe saying, whatever you've been hedging your bets on, whatever you've been like hemming and hawing and saying, well, I don't know if it's the time, I'm waiting for a sign, whatever. And normally I don't condone that because we are so powerful in our own right that if we are dedicated and we create the intention enough to do something, and for us in our minds, it's already a done deal, it's already going to come to pass, the universe is going to get on board with whatever you are doing. Now, it may show up in the physical as being something different than what you had imagined. That's okay. But it's about you creating the intention through your feeling, your vibration, because that's the ultimate broadcast, the ultimate frequency signal that the universe needs to say, this is who you are. I'll send you everything that matches that, okay? So this is a time to bolster your convictions about what you want to do, not necessarily what it's going to look like when it's done, but how it's going to feel to have it. You need to be in this all the time. So that means that we need to get really, really present this week. Because If you are creating something new, what you need to really be doing is you need to be in this place of you are rehearsing this new version of you, this new thing that's going to come to pass, this new thing that's going to come about. You need to be creatively visualizing it. Yes, that helps. If that helps you get into the feeling of it, fine. But you need to be rehearsing this thing that you want with all parts of being. There is no way to do that while you are holding on to old self-negating feelings, old ways of believing, old paradigms of disempowerment or feeling disinherited from parts of self. All parts of self that you have cast out or alienated from yourself because you've had pain or you've had trauma, you need to call all those parts back this week. It's a very easy thing to do, to connect with these parts that you have kind of in your mind and in a part of your lower part of consciousness untethered yourself from, but you can't ever really truly untether yourself from these parts of you that you've disinherited because maybe you've had pain or trauma or abuse, grief or sadness or loss in your past. And you just have the illusion, because that's what happens in this dense reality of 3D consciousness. We have this illusion that we've cast off parts of ourselves and we can't retrieve them again. Your intention is everything, my darling. Your intention, your focus, your attention to whatever it is that you want to create, call back to you. You always have the power to call whatever back to you that you've disinherited or sent away, cast out from you because you thought, I wasn't worthy of being that person, or this person has too much pain and trauma, I don't want her back in me. Call her back, washed clean in the light of divine consciousness. Call her back with the help of archangel friends like Archangel Michael or Gabriel, and cut those cords to anything that still has the trauma or the pain attached to it. The wholeness of you is required at this point to not only be fully present with all aspects of self on board with who you are and what you're creating, but this is the power that you need to bolster yourself to practically instantly manifest what it is that is your firm intention to create. So you have to get present with all parts of self, with what you're thinking, with what you're feeling. If you are still feeling with that old part of self, or thinking with that old part of self that is any way, shape, or form aligned with disempowerment, disinheritance, casting away parts of self, you sister, you need to clean that up. My sisters and my brothers, you need to clean that up. Because your wholeness is required for you to fully act on that wink, that nudge that you're getting from the universe this week, that now's the time to do this thing, whatever the thing is, okay? And it's different for many of you. For some of you, it's making a decision that feels like it's a big change and it's a big shift, and who will I be if I do this? You need to do it. And you need to call parts of self back that you have disinherited or sent away from you, so that you can fully be in your power while you make this transformation, because it will mean everything. And those of you who are trying to do this without doing that, you're gonna see very quickly what I mean. And I'm sorry, not sorry. But if you don't call all parts of yourself back into power, get all parts of self on board with your program, your firm intention of what you're creating, not only are you going to hobble your creative process, but you are going to take a really long time to manifest something that actually could be manifested this week, could be manifested this month. It depends. But you, with all parts of yourself online, let's just put it that way, you have the power to create something instantly. You have the power to really move beyond the confines of what we think of as linear time here, and having to wait for something to show up, having to wait for all things to align in the universe, all the energies in the universe to align with your creation. It can be a really, really lickety-split process if you are being completely present. And I'll often talk about this, and I've talked about it many times with the weekly energy check-in, but we have learned that when we're human beings, we try to change, okay? And when we try to change, we're kind of like addicts. We're addicted to familiar chemical states of being, meaning the emotions that we've had that may have been self-negating for us for a lifetime. This is how we have experienced, let's just say, the driving force behind our identity or our whole personal reality. is oftentimes these emotions, these chemical responses that we've had to an incident that happened a while ago. And anything that conjures up this incident again, we're like addicts and we go right back into that feeling. We go into that same kind of self-negating behavior, the same self-negating thoughts, the same self-negating feelings. What you need to do this week is get really present with where you may be addicted to this old way of being, because it's keeping the old you alive. And as you are trying to transform into this new person, because this new thing that you want, okay, this new thing that you're creating, if you were a vibrational match to it already, you would have it. Period. The end. If your frequency wasn't so aligned with lack and limitation, this thing that you want would already be here. It would already be part of your physical reality. So think about when you are calling forth a new thing, a new way of being, something you have, something that you do that you have not had before. You must begin to think of it in this way. You must think of it in quantum terms, that I need to be a different person in order to broadcast a different signal, emit a different frequency that matches this thing that I haven't had in my life yet, that I haven't known yet. Because you have known a certain way of being that doesn't match this thing that you're calling forth. So what you are doing is you are becoming someone else. But here's the rub. These things that you want, they can't show up as long as you are holding on to this conflict within of being the old you, while you're trying to create simultaneously this new you. You can't create a new reality for yourself while you're still trying to hold on to the old you. So how do you get rid of or get past the addiction of acting as the old you? You have to get really, really present. This week is all about presence. It's about getting really present with your firm intention and everything that you are thinking, feeling, and doing that is keeping you in that from you. Everything that's creating a barrier from you having it. Okay? Everything that's keeping that from you. And it is not something that is outside of you. Please get rid of this notion. Everything that's keeping you from having this thing you want to create is inside of you. It is an inner reality that is literally living in defiance of this thing that you want to create. And if you are not consciously checked into your unconscious, meaning thinking about the thoughts that you have, checking into the emotions that you're feeling in the present moment, and redirecting that, shifting it, and shifting it so that the thoughts that you're thinking, the things that you're feeling, the way you are behaving is in alignment fully with what you want to create. It must be a coherent signal, meaning all those things have to be acting in concert with each other. If they are not, the old you is winning out, which means the old predictable outcomes of you, of your reality, will win out. The old familiar ways of being, all the old circumstances, will come right back, will flood back into your awareness, because whatever the stronger signal is that you're broadcasting, whether it's the old you or the new you, it's all about which version is the most practiced, the most rehearsed, the most memorized version of who you are. So if you're getting present with what it is that you want to create and say, well, I need to be this person in order to create this thing, be that person. Rehearse it, live as if this thing has already shown up. And the more you do that, the more you rehearse the new you, the more the old you falls away, the more the old predictable outcomes that would haunt your very reality go away. So this week is about presence. This week is about firm intention. It's about super duper clarity in a lot of different ways. It's about presence and clarity this week. Presence in being in the now moment. Because what a lot of people don't realize, and what I was going to say before, a lot of people get sick of hearing me say, is that the present now moment is the most largely unused piece of energetic real estate. Meaning most people do not occupy the now moment. Okay, people have a really hard time staying in the present. In quantum terms, the present moment, the now moment, is where all potentials exist simultaneously in the quantum field of consciousness, the web of cosmic consciousness. So when we stay present, when we're in the moment, we move beyond linear time and we stretch out all the potentials that we could possibly create in the now moment, and we get to feel into each one of them. That's how powerful the now moment is. That's how powerful presence is. It allows you to link up with a coherent signal with everything that's being broadcasted in the quantum field, meaning every potential exists in that moment. And when you are in that space, where you are in full concert, in communication fully, seamlessly with this field, anything that you want to create is available to you. It's like being in the biggest department store ever, where you see everything on the shelf that you've ever wanted, everything you've ever wanted to be, do, and have. And you can pick and choose. And all you have to do is be in that vibration that matches it. And the more you stretch out that now moment, the more you are playing with this, let's just say rehearsing this you that is a perfect vibrational match to what you are wanting to create, the more you play with this and stretch out this now moment of rehearsing you and being in this moment and playing with the creative ability of being in the now, what you're doing is creating a signal, a broadcast. You're emitting a frequency that is infinitely stronger than the old you that had a self-limiting, self-negating way of being. The more you do this all day, checking into this field all day, every day, especially this week, because there's a lot of creative energies at play, the more seamless your manifestations will become. And it sounds simple when I explain it this way. I get it. But the hardest thing to do for us is to stay present, because we're so addicted to a way of being. We're so addicted to our thoughts, to our feelings, because it has told us who we are. And that's where the ego can stay in its place of power, because the ego is all about who you are. The ego is all about, I need to be somebody, even if that somebody isn't someone I like very much or doesn't serve me very well. The ego doesn't care. The ego is not checked into that. The ego doesn't make any kind of quality judgments. The ego is all about programming you to stay in the energy of what's familiar, of what's known. The ego doesn't care if you're abandoning yourself. The ego doesn't care if you are alienating yourself from the higher dream of you. The ego is programmed to do one thing. It's to keep you in the known. It's to provide that illusion of safety. But here's a big truth nugget. If you are completely content to stay with the illusion of safety, you are settling. You are settling for a version of you that you're saying, okay, this is good enough. This is good enough for now. And what does that say about you? What are you telling yourself? What kind of inner dialogue is being created around that feeling that, whatever is happening, that's fine? That you don't deserve something better? That it's unsafe to imagine something bigger and bolder for yourself? You have a different destiny waiting for you that is bigger and bolder than, and it's beyond what you can currently imagine for yourself, because you are thinking, you are feeling, you are acting in a limited stream of consciousness that is not linked in to that divine higher field of intelligence within you. This can all change once you make the decision to operate from that higher field of intelligence instead of from the ego self. So if you do really want to change this, it's about presence and clarity this week. Checking into all the ways that you are thinking, feeling, and acting that do not align with what you want to create, and then consciously redirecting that. And here's what happens when you start doing that shift, and you start making that shift consistently throughout your day, many times a day, checking in. Put a timer on your phone this week for like 5 times during the day to check in, take a deep breath, and get present with what you're thinking and feeling and what you are doing. Are those in alignment with what you are creating? Are those in alignment with the destiny you desire for yourself? If they are not, make the appropriate adjustments. Start thinking something different. Start feeling something different. Reach for the next best available thought, the next best available emotion. And when you start doing this, and you start feeling this shift, you cannot help but feel an expansiveness take hold. And it takes hold from the inner core of you, and it expands outward. I dare you to prove me wrong. Because when you start doing this, you start feeling that expansion. And you start feeling and seeing and knowing more potentials available to you. Creative ideas tend to flood your awareness. Inspired moments of gratitude, just feeling good, just feeling present, feeling aware, loving who you are with, loving what you are doing, that tends to flood your awareness. These are all the side effects that happen when you get present. Enjoy that this week. Enjoy your ability as being the creator of your reality this week. Enjoy that wink, that nudge from the universe that says, now it's time. No more fear. No more self-doubt. No more lack of self-belief. Just go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. And the firmer your intention is for what you are creating, the more you will feel bolstered. The more you call back all those parts of self you have disinherited because of loss of self, through trauma, a block in your past, pain or grief or sorrow. Could have happened in this lifetime, could have happened in another lifetime. You always have the power to call back all parts and pieces of you, wash it clean in divine grace and light. Imagine a beautiful rose gold color just washing through all those parts of self and calling them back into wholeness. Because this is what bolsters your reserves to not only not take on the fear in the collective that's happening right now as people are going through this awakening process and going through a period of what is unknown, that tends to throw people off kilter, that tends to get people angry, that tends to get people frustrated, that tends to cause chaos and mayhem. You don't have to take that on. And one way to ensure that you don't is to bolster yourself by calling back all parts of self into wholeness, calling in all of your power. And then, with that beautiful washed clean energy reserve that you've now created for yourself, create whatever it is that you want. So I want to wish you so much love and peace this week. Enjoy being a creator. Enjoy your power. Enjoy your infinite nature. Enjoy that higher field of intelligence that is telling you exactly what you've always known. But now you might start to believe it a little bit more. Now you might start to listen to it a little bit more. Your divine ears are perked up to listen to what it's telling you. Don't be afraid to take that in. Don't be afraid to actualize that information. I want to wish you all so much love and peace and have a beautiful week. Bye-bye.